They say every American family looks perfect from the outside. White picket fence, a Labrador chasing squirrels in the yard, 2 cars in the driveway, and a wife who kisses you goodnight like she's reading a script written by the Hallmark Channel. That was my life, or at least the stage play version of it. Behind the curtain, though, the actors forgot their lines. My wife wasn't really my wife anymore. She was the lead star in a low-budget soap opera titled Cheating with Dumbbells and Protein Shakes. And the co-star? My personal gym trainer, the guy who had the audacity to tell me, "Bro, form is everything," while apparently working on his form with my wife when I wasn't looking. I caught them last month, though to be fair, caught is a soft word. It wasn't like I just walked in one night and saw them tangled in sweaty betrayal on our IKEA couch. No, my discovery came like a true American conspiracy theory unraveling, little signs, secret codes, crumbs of infidelity left behind like it was Watergate but with yoga mats. She started coming home smelling like eucalyptus body wash, which is weird because our shower only stocked Dove. She started wearing leggings 3 sizes too tight, for flexibility, she said. And the trainer, let's call him Brad, because of course he's a Brad, started giving me those guilty dog eyes whenever I walked into the gym. Now, I might not be the smartest guy in the county, but I'm no fool. Family is sacred, and when toxic love sneaks into your home, you feel it in your bones before you see it with your eyes. The betrayal oozed out of every corner of our house like bad plumbing. She'd scroll on her phone at night, screen tilted away from me, giggling like a high schooler in a forbidden romance. Who laughs at 1 o'clock a.m. unless it's betrayal texting them, "You up?" So I did what any suspicious American husband would do. I launched my own CIA operation. Forget FBI, forget Homeland Security. I had the instincts of a betrayed husband armed with cheap whiskey and late-night paranoia. I tracked receipts, 2 smoothies charged to our joint account at the same juice bar. I checked her mileage. She claimed yoga with friends, but somehow the odometer screamed she drove to the gym and back twice. And then came the final clue, the Rosetta Stone of infidelity, an abandoned gym towel in the back seat of her car, embroidered with the logo of his gym, not mine. I picked it up like a detective in a crime drama, imagining the judge slamming the gavel. Case closed, guilty of cheating in the 1st degree. The night I confirmed it, I didn't scream. No rage, no throwing plates, none of that Lifetime movie nonsense. Instead, I laughed. A deep, sarcastic, hollow laugh, the kind that makes neighbors wonder if you're plotting revenge or auditioning for the Joker. Because what's the point of yelling when betrayal has already broken the family contract? My wife, the woman who once swore vows under twinkling lights and promises of forever, was now basically a Lifetime original special called Infidelity at the Squat Rack. But here's where the story twists into parody. The very week I pieced it together, she announced she was pregnant. Pregnant. The timing was so suspicious, I swear the universe itself was trolling me. She looked at me with watery eyes and said, "Honey, it's our miracle." A miracle? Please. The only miracle was how Brad still had time for leg day between sneaking into my marriage. She wanted me to believe the baby was mine, but my instincts screamed otherwise. You don't need Maury Povich to walk in with an envelope to know when toxic love has left fingerprints all over your so-called miracle. So, I played along. I told her I was thrilled, kissed her forehead, and whispered promises of support. In reality, every kiss felt like signing a contract with betrayal itself. Infidelity wasn't just a word in my vocabulary anymore. It was the air I breathed at breakfast. Every sip of coffee tasted like lies. Every "I love you" sounded like a rehearsed line in a sitcom laugh track. And while she glowed with that artificial pregnancy joy, I sharpened my thoughts into something darker: revenge. Because here's the American truth no one likes to admit. Revenge is a national pastime. baseball, apple pie, and watching karma unfold on people who underestimated you. And my wife underestimated me. Brad underestimated me. This wasn't just about cheating anymore, it was about rewriting the script of our family drama. If she wanted to live in a parody of marriage, I'd flip the script into a conspiracy thriller, a revenge saga where the final laugh belonged to me. The baby shower wasn't supposed to have a projector, but I rented one anyway because in America nothing says family like high-definition betrayal thrown 10 feet wide across a living room wall. There was a Costco cake that said, "Welcome, little miracle." A balloon arch that looked like a cotton candy storm cloud had swallowed our ceiling fan, and a playlist of acoustic love songs that would have made even a divorce lawyer cry. My wife floated around in a sundress doing the soft-voiced hostess thing, cheeks glowing with that counterfeit joy you only get when infidelity thinks it's fooling everyone. Our neighbors arrived with Target bags full of onesies, Pastor Dave brought a prayer, and even the gym squad showed up, including Brad the trainer, who wore a t-shirt so tight it looked like it had a non-disclosure agreement stitched into it. They didn't know the projector wasn't for a gender reveal. It was for truth. That was Saturday. Now rewind 72 hours, back to the week where I decided revenge wasn't just an idea, it was a schedule. The plan came together with the precision of an American heist movie and the pettiness of a HOA complaint. I started with the AirTag, tucked under the rubber base of her blender bottle. "Babe, I washed your shaker," I said, and she smiled, like honesty was a scented candle. While she was at prenatal yoga, the dot on my phone did laps between the gym and a smoothie bar like it was training for a marathon in betrayal. Next, I visited the gym with the softest smile I could fake and a box of donuts for the front desk kid, Tyler, who has the moral constitution of a Labrador. "Any chance you can help me find a phone I lost here last week?" I asked, and 2 minutes later I had prints of the check-in logs that might as well have been love letters. My wife and Brad were clocking in and out like they were punching a time card for cheating. Tyler, bless his underpaid soul, even hinted there was some aggressive stretching happening in Studio B, which I didn't ask him to clarify because there are phrases you can't unhear. Then came Karen from across the street, a woman whose personality could be measured in neighborhood watch minutes. I gave her a Starbucks gift card and asked if she'd seen anything suspicious lately. She produced a small dossier, photos of my wife leaving the house in athleisure at times that didn't line up with her calendar, and a lovely note about a man with an athletic gait. If betrayal had a PTA, Karen would be president. For the pièce de résistance, I needed insurance, so I went full suburban conspiracy theorist and ordered 2 mail-in DNA kits. Pure satire, yes, but in America we crowdsourced the truth with swabs and shipping labels. Brad left a half-empty water bottle in the gym cubbies. I accidentally threw it in my bag. My wife used my toothbrush one morning, which is less romantic when you're collecting evidence. Was I expecting a lightning-fast result? No. But I wasn't staging the final blow with lab printouts. I was staging it with optics. The point was to show the room the shape of the lie, not the decimal places. Meanwhile, I acted like a husband from a pharmaceutical commercial, smiling too much, setting appointments, reading baby name lists like the future wasn't already on fire. Every "we" that crossed my lips was a paper cut to my pride. She soaked it up, convinced the old me had returned, while I rehearsed lines for a different show. A satire where toxic love is a punchline, and the audience claps when the magician reveals the trapdoor. On Friday night, I posted a cheerful message in the neighborhood group. Potluck baby shower, casual, bring a dish, bring your heart. The RSVPs rolled in faster than gossip. I made sure to personally invite the gym staff, including the assistant manager who thinks every policy is a suggestion. "We're doing a tiny slideshow of the journey," I said. "Ultrasound pics, goofy selfies, you know." He grinned and said he could send over some fun class snapshots for the show. When his email arrived, there it was. Blurry but unmistakable, my wife and Brad pressed into each other's space during a couples conditioning circuit they had no business being a couple in. It wasn't proof a judge would use, but it was proof a room would feel. So Saturday arrives and the house fills with smiles. Pastor Dave calls it a season of blessing. I nod like a man who believes in seasons, but also believes in forecasts. My friends from the bar stand in the back near the chips, trading knowing glances because I'd given them the trailer, not the full film. The playlist is twinkling. The cake glistens. My wife squeezes my hand with a practiced tenderness that would have won awards if marriage were judged on presentation. Brad hovers near the kitchen island, pretending he doesn't see the Promethean glow of the projector, sipping sparkling water like it's an alibi. I tap my glass and the room settles into the warm silence of expectation. Before we cut the cake, I say, I thought we could watch a little montage. Our family's journey, the last month especially. Family hangs in the air like a chandelier. Betrayal hums in the wiring. I click the remote and the screen comes alive with harmless fluff at first. Our first house key, a shot of our dog wearing a bandana, a sunny selfie outside the OB office. My wife smiles and touches her belly. The room awes. Then the music shifts almost too subtly, the way a storm sneaks up behind an August sky. A map pin appears. Her dot, the shaker bottle's dot, bouncing between two locations in a rhythm the room starts to feel in their ribs. IKEA catalog happiness gives way to grainier frames. The gym entrance, timestamps that match her calendar like a bad rhyme, a door swinging closed on Studio B. The assistant manager provided a clip that isn't scandalous, just intimate, in a way that makes strangers look down at their plates. Brad stiffens. Karen inhales like she's about to put this on the agenda. My wife laughs the small, controlled laugh of someone diffusing a bomb with compliments. "Honey, what is this?" she whispers, but the room is too quiet for whispers to hide. I let the montage breathe just long enough, then I pause it on the still of her and Brad at a distance, their bodies angled with familiarity. This isn't about humiliation, I want to say, but of course it is. Betrayal humiliated me first, and revenge is never tidy. I look at Pastor Dave, at my friends, at the honest faces of neighbors who came to bless a baby and instead found a parable. Families survive truth, I say, voice steady. They don't survive lies. I feel the floorboards of our life groan under the weight of that sentence. My wife's eyes turn glassy, the kind of wet that comes not from sorrow, but from calculation. Brad adjusts his jaw like he's chewing a confession. Somewhere in the kitchen, the compressor of the fridge kicks on, a mechanical witness exhaling. I don't hit play again. Not yet. The projector stares back at all of us with that frozen frame. Two people caught at an angle only honesty can correct. The room is suspended, half prayer, half courtroom. This is the cliff at the end of a suburban street, the place where toxic love runs out of road. And just before anyone else can speak, I smile politely, a host to the last breath of the old script, and say, let's save the rest for after presents. The cake knife glints. The guests shift, unsure whether to clap or confess. The projector blinks, waiting for my next move. The projector froze the party like an amber trap, but revenge doesn't thrive in silence. It thrives in sequels. And in America, every good scandal deserves part 2. The public meltdown. I didn't just want whispers in my living room. I wanted echoes in the gym, ripples through the neighborhood, betrayal so visible it could qualify for a Netflix true crime documentary called Toxic Love, Dumbbells of Deception. So I planned the encore. First step, Facebook. In the small-town America, Facebook is both courthouse and town square, the place where family announcements share space with conspiracy theories about chemtrails. I uploaded the very same still frame from the projector, the grainy shot of my wife and Brad, and I captioned it with the politest nuclear bomb possible. Sometimes infidelity wears leggings. Sometimes betrayal spots your squats. Pray for my family. Within 30 minutes, the post collected more comments than a mayoral election scandal. Some were horrified, some pretended shock even though they always had a feeling, and a few dropped popcorn emojis like betrayal was their entertainment of the week. But online humiliation was just Act 1. Act 2 happened at the gym itself. I walked in during peak hours, not in workout clothes, but in my best Sunday dad outfit. Cargo shorts, polo, and a grin. Brad was leading a high tea class, yelling, "Push harder," in that motivational trainer voice that now sounded like a parody of itself. I waited until the burpees ended and the panting silence fell. Then, with the calmness of a man ordering a cheeseburger, I raised my phone, hit play, and projected the same montage on the gym's big screen, the one they usually use for Zumba lights. People gasped like it was the season finale of The Bachelor. Brad froze mid-sweat, arms out like a Greek statue of betrayal. My wife wasn't there, but her ghost might as well have been. "This," I announced, "is what happens when family is treated like a warm-up set. Cheating is not cardio. Betrayal is not a fitness plan." The class clapped, not for me, but for the sheer absurdity of it. In that moment, the gym wasn't a gym anymore. It was a courtroom, a comedy club, and a revival tent all rolled into one. Revenge had become aerobic. Of course, not everyone cheered. My wife stormed in later, face flushed, tears staged like a soap opera monologue. "You're humiliating me," she yelled, which was ironic because humiliation had been her favorite hobby all year. I tilted my head, American sitcom dad style, and said, "Sweetheart, betrayal is a team sport. I'm just letting the audience know who the players are." Word spread faster than a Black Friday sale. Neighbors peeked over hedges. Church ladies whispered during potlucks. Even the bar where I nursed my Friday beers ran a cheating spouses drink-free night in my honor. My revenge had mutated into folklore. Some called me cruel, others called me a hero, but no one called me boring. And here's where the parody hit full throttle. My wife tried damage control. She claimed the baby was mine, posted Bible verses about forgiveness, even baked a pie for Karen across the street, hoping gossip could be sweetened with cinnamon. Brad, meanwhile, lost half his clients overnight, because apparently no one trusts a man to count reps if he can't count wedding vows. But I wasn't done. Oh no. This wasn't just betrayal to expose, this was infidelity to mythologize. I turned our story into a podcast episode, Barbells and Betrayal, where I narrated the saga like a true crime host, complete with dramatic pauses and ominous piano music. It went semi-viral. Suddenly, strangers from other states were emailing me, saying, "Bro, I don't even lift, but your revenge has me bench-pressing justice." The ultimate twist came when I leaked a fake rumor that Brad was starting a toxic love boot camp where couples could learn how to spot each other in more ways than one. It wasn't real, of course, but Americans love a scandal more than they love truth. Flyers popped up, people joked about signing up, and Brad nearly moved out of town. Through it all, I smiled. Not because my family was healed, it wasn't. Not because justice was perfect, it never is. But because betrayal thought it had cornered me, and instead I'd turned it into a parody so loud, so public, that revenge became art. And every time I passed a mirror, I'd whisper the words that tasted sharper than whiskey. Families survive truth. But toxic love? That's entertainment. Revenge stories are supposed to end with closure, with the villain humiliated, and the hero walking away into a sunset like a Clint Eastwood Western. But this was America, and in America, closure is just another subscription you can't cancel. My wife thought she could pivot the scandal into a redemption arc, like one of those reality TV contestants who cheats on national television and then shows up on a spin-off called Forgiven and Fabulous. She sat me down at our cracked kitchen table one night, mascara still smeared from crying on Facebook Live, and said, "We can fix this. We can rebuild. Family is everything. Family." The word hit like a bad joke because the family she wanted to rebuild was a house she'd already bulldozed. Toxic love isn't a foundation, it's quicksand. And betrayal doesn't just leave stains, it rewrites the whole floor plan. I listened, nodded, even took her hand, but inside my head I was narrating it like a parody trailer. This summer, one woman, one man, and a baby that may or may not belong to a gym trainer in the ultimate saga of infidelity. But the universe loves a plot twist, and mine came in the form of a manila envelope dropped in our mailbox like contraband. The DNA results. It felt like a game show prize. You are not the father, except there was no cheering audience, just silence, and the low hum of betrayal solidifying into fact. The baby wasn't mine. Brad was the winner of the world's worst lottery. My wife crumbled, but in my head it was almost slapstick. She slid down the wall like a sitcom character, realizing the laugh track had been cut. I could have left right then, packed my bags, filed the papers, walked out with dignity. But dignity is boring. Revenge still had one more act, and I was too deep in my own satirical saga to quit. I called a family meeting at our church fellowship hall, yes, with snacks, because no American scandal is complete without finger foods. Friends, neighbors, even Karen with her binoculars showed up. I stood in front of the group with the DNA envelope in one hand and a Bible in the other, parodying a sermon. Today, I said, we learn the difference between family and infidelity. One is built on trust, the other on protein shakes. The crowd laughed nervously, but the message landed. My wife sat red-eyed in the front row, Brad lurking near the back door like a criminal waiting for a plea deal. I opened the envelope, read the verdict, and let the room marinate in the silence. Then I closed it and said, "Truth sets families free. Betrayal chains them. Today, I'm cutting my chains." It wasn't just a declaration. It was a finale. The fallout was immediate. My wife packed a bag and moved in with her sister 2 towns over. Brad disappeared from the gym. Last I heard, he was doing personal training for truckers at a rest stop. Neighbors whispered my name with equal parts sympathy and admiration. My Facebook post became a meme, complete with captions like, "When your trainer spots more than your weights." I didn't just get revenge, I became a cultural moment. And here's the strangest part. The parody swallowed the pain. Somewhere between exposing betrayal on a projector and turning infidelity into public theater, I stopped feeling broken. I felt free. Free of the fake smiles, the midnight lies, the toxic love that had turned my family into a sitcom with no laugh track. Infidelity had thought it could define me, but instead it became my punchline. So when people ask how it ended, I tell them the truth, but I tell it like a story, because that's all betrayal really is. A bad story waiting for a better narrator. My cheating wife had my gym trainer's baby, I say, and I turned her world into betrayal and revenge. And then I raise my glass like every American man who ever survived humiliation and toast to the one thing that matters more than closure. The laugh you get when the credits roll and you're still standing.